The screen is visible to you.
No, ma'am.
Now it is visible.
Now it's video. Yes, ma'am.
Any doubt from the first part? Next part is so the first part is that is the static variable, and the second part is the just okay. So the static keyword can be used with the two prominent uses of static keyword is related to your syllabus. The first one is the variable and the second one is method. And in extra, you can also follow the static keyword with a block specification as well as the nested class. Okay, but these two parts are the extended features. The first two prominent uses of static keyword is you will have to use maximum time, that is the static variable as well as the static method. The static variable portion already Botik has mentioned that it is forward. That's why I am not repeating it. The second most important part is the static method. Now, just think about the part. Already, you have used this part in your previous example or in your previous coding example, basically. Because whenever we are in Java, at that time we need to declare explicitly we need to declare that method as a static. Just recall the portion whenever you want to run any Java program, at that time you need to down static void main inside a class. So knowingly or unknowingly you are using the static method. The main features of static method is at the beginning why we are making this main method as a static. This is just because you are accessing the class for the first time without creating any instance of that class. Whenever we are just at the entry point of your Java program, at that time there will be no object in your head. After entering your class that will contain the main method, then you can declare or you can create any object of a specific class. Okay, and after creating of that object, you can access the method or you can access the variable of that class also. What will happen whenever you are at the entry point of your program? So at that time, you don't have any object to run that program. So at that time, static keyword help you. Okay, when you are declaring the main method as a static method so that you can call or you can invoke that method without creating any instance of that class. This is the main and prime utility of static method. Okay. Now, if you are just applying the static keyword of with any method, definitely it will be known as a static method. You are just adding the static keyword in for that any method. That means you are declaring that method as a static. So whenever you are declaring any method as a static, so what will be the features or what will be the restriction of that method? The first point is you need to keep in your mind these 2 points. The first point is a static method belongs to the class rather than the object of a class. That's why I am talking about the that without invoking or without him. This is actually the second point. Without creating or without invoking any object of that class, you can start your code. So you don't need to bother about the object of that class initially. Rather, you need to use the object. You all know that what is the utility of the object, what are the utility of how you can access the method of another classes using the object like that. But at the starting point, whenever you don't have any object in your hand and you want to start any object-oriented programming, at that time your static method will help. The static code will help you. Okay. And the next important point that is a static method can access static data member and can change the value of it. You need to have an example of it. A static method can access any static data member. Static data member means you all know that the uses of static variable. That the uses of static variable is mentioned here. Okay, whenever we are talking about that a static method can access static data member, that means we are talking about a static variable or any other static method also. Okay. And using that static method, you can also change the value of it. Look at the example that what is actually okay. Here it is the example of student class. What are the basic feature of student? We all know that is the unique features, that is the roll number of the student, at least the student must have some roll number and name. Here it is, we are declaring in our previous example, just recall that example, whenever we are declaring a static variable. Here the college is declared as a static variable. Why? Because whenever you are declaring a static variable, that means for each and every instance that you are creating for that class, this static variable will not occupy new. We all know that whenever we are creating the object of a particular class, each and every time we are creating instance or object of that class, that means separate memory be allocated for each and every data variable of that class. But if you declare any member of that class as a static, that means only one time the memory will be allocated for that variable. New memory allocation will be happen each and every time you are creating the instance of that class. So we are talking examined about that whenever we are declaring the student feature, the student characteristic, the college name is for all the students. We want to create a real life student object, a particular class or particular, we can say that is the NSSM college student. So at that time, the college name is all the time. So we need to create or is storing that student each and every time you are just writing down the NSSM other college name in a new memory location. You just need to point out to this memory. From that memory, you can display the name of the college or memory discuss. Now, once you declare this particular college name as the college name variable as a static, next time, suppose some student changes college, or you can think about in linguistic part that is happening in this college, that the most changing the department. From PSC, there are lots of they want to move to AIML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and someone another department that is related to this PSC department. That is the common topic, that is the data science. So, if there are 62 in the knowledge allocated for the department name, that is for CSE. Now, second
मैम आपका आवाज नहीं आ रहा है.
hello, now it is audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Actually, there is a thought problem today. Okay, fine. So now if we just want to change the department name, okay, from CSE to data science, then what you will do? For that time, you need to declare a static method. That is just in this third point I have mentioned here. Just look at the third point that I have mentioned here. A static method can access the static data members as well as it can change the value of it. So here is this is the example so that you can change the department name. Here it is in this example, it is changing the college name. Okay. That you are just you need to create. This is a method you are just declaring inside the student class, and after that you are just declaring this is the remaining part, and you are familiar with that you need to create the constructor of that class so that at the time of object creation you can put the value of that student to that. Here we are putting down only two elements. Look at this roll number and name. We are not putting this college name in the constructor variable. Okay. And after that, we are declaring one display method. It will just display the roll number, name as well as the college name of the student. Now look at this main class. In the main class, we are calling the method of changing the college name. Look at this signature. Whenever we are creating, whenever we are accessing any method, what is the basic rule? The basic rules is that you need to create object of that class. Okay. After that, using that object name, after the dot operator, you need to write down the method name. Okay. But whenever you are declaring the static method, at that time, just you need to write down the class name. After that, there will be a dot. Then there will be the name of the method. That is the static method. That's why the first point mentioned you, the static method can call another static method. Okay, just using the class name. This is because the static method doesn't need to invoke the object. Without creating object of that class, you can access any static method. This is the example for it. Okay. And after that, you want to access the roll number as well as the name of the student also. For that purpose, you need to create object because these two part you are not declaring as a static and you are not creating any method for that particular two variable. Okay. Here, these students are created with separate roll number as well as the name. And after that, we are declaring, oh, sorry, we are calling the display method. So what will be the result? Can anyone guess what will be the result? This is your whole program. Can anyone guess what will be the output? Sorry. What will be the output? Potik, can you tell me what will be the output?
111 Karan and college BIDS.
Okay, whatever be the college name. So this you are talking about this that the roll number, name, and the college name. But look at this part. I just want to show you that here initially we are declaring the college name as a ITS. Okay, later we are changing the college name inside a static method that is change. That is named here as a change. So the changed name will be reflected in your output. And the most important point is that this part definitely you will practice in your lab session today, that how you are using this particular method. You are using this, you are accessing this particular method using the dot operator and using the class name only. This is the main point that I want to mention, because the remaining part is you are familiar with that. Okay, and you need to check that whether this output will come or not. Okay, clear the static method. The concept of static method is clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The main point of static method is that the first part you can declare a static method. First point is the why main method is static. Because main method is your entry point to your program, and at that point you don't have any object in your hand. Okay. So to make this program run, first of all you need to start this program. And you are starting this program from the main method and without any using any object. That's why your main method is declared as a static, because static method is the only method that can be invoked without creating any object of that class in which it is declared. So how you can access any static method? You can access any static method using the class name, then the dot operator, then the method name. This is the main utility. Okay, main concept of the static method. In the lab session, practice this part. This is another example that you can create. That is another part, that is the static block. It is related, not too much related. Whenever you will study the exception handling, at that time this static block will be important to you. Okay. I am just briefing the point that why the static block will be used in case of exception handling. Now look at this. What first of all, look at the point that why the static block will be used. Static block means just a minute. Write down. Do you know what is the meaning of block inside a program? This will be your block. Any curly bracket inside your program, this will be known as a block. You can write down any statement inside this. You can write down any instruction within this, but this portion will be treated as a block. Now this block you can declare as a static block. And what is the meaning of what is the utility of this static block? The utility of this static block, that this particular static block will be executed irrespective of the path if there is an exception in your program or not. Clear the point? This
One
static,
second.
this static block, whenever you are declaring any static block inside your Java program, that static block will always be executed irrespective of the path if there is an exception in your program or not. This point is related to exception. Why I am talking this? Just because if there is an exception, suppose you are there is some error in your logic that you are dividing a particular figure by 0. So there will be an exception. So compiler will throw you an exception and your program will be terminated. The remaining portion, whether whether the set of instruction is correct or not, the compiler will not check it. It will just throw an exception that there is a compile time error and your program will be terminated. So the rest of the part, irrespective of the thing, that whether it is erroneous or not, it will not be executed. This is the common phenomena for all programming language. But Java provides you an extra feature that is known as the static block. So whenever you are declaring inside your program any static block, irrespective of that exception, that fatal error or that exception that will terminate your program, that particular block will be executed. Okay, this is used because whenever you are just making a large number of instruction executing in your code, and that is related to some file handling method. Okay, at that time you will use this part, but at present just think about that part, that whenever you are declaring the static block inside your program, that must be executed. Okay, and one important point, it will be executed before the main method. This is most vital point. It will be executed before the main method. We all know that the main method is the starting point of any Java program. But if you declare any static block inside your code, then that static block will be executed before the main method at the time of class loading. Okay, later we will see that what is the in the next section, that whenever we will study the inheritance concept, then we will study that what are the compile time case and what will be the runtime cases. Okay, but for this time being, just think about that part, that whenever we are talking about the static block, that static block will be executed before the main method. Okay, irrespective, that's why I am talking about the irrespective of the part, that whether there is an exception or not. Now look at this figure. You can use this particular part, proper use of that part whenever you will study the exception handling. Just because after two topics, that is the package and specifier, we will study the exception handling. At that time, you will go for it. Okay, now how we can declare? Just look at this. In this class A2, we are declaring a method that is named as a static. This is the basically the block. I'll write down it in this way also. To check whether this static block is executing or not, we are writing down this statement here, that is static block is invoked. After that, we are not making any exception here because till now the exception handling is not discussed in this class. Here is just a main method, and within this main method there is a SOP statement. Okay. Now look at the sequence. The sequence through which code is coming. You all know that the execution should start from this point, but in this example, this part will be executed first. That's why this particular statement is output at the first line. It came as the output at the first line, and next the second line. Clear? So these three are the three main important parts that are related to the static keyword. First one is the static variable, second one is the static method, and third one is the static block. Okay. Now there is also another part that you can use in a static part that is related to the nested class, but that is not related right now. Okay, that's why I'm not discussing it here. Whenever we will talk about the wrapper class and nested class utility, at that time we will discuss this. Actually, this static block is also related to the exception handling part, but since this is related to static keyword, that's why it is mentioned here. Any doubt till now? Static variable, static method, and static block. Any doubt? Anyone from anyone? Saurabh, can you hear me? Saurabh,
Yes, ma'am.
any doubt till now?
No, ma'am.
Just practice. I'll share this document with you in your WhatsApp group in the lab session, or at your home. Not in the lab session is always required that you will practice this defined code. Just follow this code and try to practice on it. Okay, if you have any doubt, then you can ask me. Clear? Okay, next we will move to the next part. A minute. Hello students, I am taking 2 minutes break. Okay, after that I'll rejoin this class. Hello,
Yes,
hello.
ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
just wait for 2 minutes. I will be back.
Okay, ma'am.
The screen is visible to you, students? The inheritance.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next we will start about the inheritance concept. Okay. We all know the basic features of Java, or we can say the object-oriented programming, that is the abstraction, polymorphism, and inheritance. And the basic concept of inheritance is already known to you. Can anyone brief me that what do you mean by inheritance? Not in a textbook form. You can just tell me in your from your real life example also. What do you mean by inheritance? Anyone? I am asking you because this portion is already discussed many time in the class. That is the concept of code reuse. Anyone can brief me that what will be the brief idea of inheritance? Anyone? Dipanjan? Dipanjan, can you hear me? Dipanjan? Potik? There are two
Yes.
Potiks. Potik, can you tell me that what is inheritance? Inheritance is a specific features of object-oriented programming through which you can reuse the code. This is the main point. That this particular line I am repeating so many times in your class. That inheritance is a specific features through which you can access the properties of other class. You are in a particular class and you want to access the properties or you want to access the resource of other class. Resource means that class member. Class member means that class variable as well as the method. Okay. So if you want to access the properties or resources, or you can say in just normal way the code of another class in your current class, then you can say you are using the inheritance property of object oriented programming. Okay. Now technically there is a part that is known as a easy relationship. Whenever we are talking about the inheritance, there is a specific terms that is known as a is a relationship, or sometimes it is known as a ISA relationship. But it is the prominent uses or prominent pronunciation of this is a. There will be a hyphen in between these two words. This is a relationship. Just look at that example. Just I am providing one example here. Then it will be clear to you. Look at this figure. There is a class that is known as a employee. Irrespective of the common features, that is employee ID, employee name, employee date of birth, employee email ID, employee salary, these features, this particular part are common to all employee class. Now, from that employee class, you want to specify another class. From a group of employee, you want to mention another group of employee that is known as a programmer. So that specific class must have some specific features irrespective of the employee ID, employee name, employee email, employee salary. Okay. So there is a specific features that is known as a bonus. So what is the meaning of these two class? Programmer is a employee of a particular organization. And if we technically say this with regarding the object-oriented programming, that is, programmer is a class that will inherit all the properties that belongs to this employee class. Because we all know that programmer is itself is a employee. all the features that a particular employee must have in an organization, that features also belongs to this programmer class. So we will not repeat that particular code to specifying the name, ID, date of birth, employee email, okay, or employee address in this programmer class. We will just inherit the properties of that class, and we will use or we will writing the code for the specific features that this programmer class only belongs. Okay, now look at this. This bonus part, these bonus features will not belongs to all and every employee of that organization. This particular part is a special features that will provide to only to the programmer class. Okay, when there will be the cases. So in that part the programmer will be in a relationship with employee, and these features will be known as an inheritance. Here this class will be known as your parent class, and this class will be known as your child class, or you can say this will be your super class, this will be your subclass. Okay, just think about the part that one example I have shared with you, that you have a your father has a Rolex watch. So by inheritance, you can also use that watch. If this is the case, then we can say you are inheriting this Rolex watch from your parent, from your father. Okay, so you will not buy another Rolex watch for your own. You can buy it. There is another feature. So whenever you want to buy another Rolex watch for you only, that particular feature is known as the method overriding. Okay, but at the time when you don't have enough money to buy this, so you can just use your father's watch also. So that concept will known as the inheritance, that you are reusing, basically not using, you are reusing your parents' watch. If this is the case that will happen for any Java program, then we can say that there is the concept for inheritance. That means one particular class will inherit or will access or will use the code for another class. Clear? This is the basic concept for inheritance. So you can say in a single sentence that inheritance is a process through which you can access the code for another class. And it always represent the is a relationship. And other terms of this is a relationship is a parent-child relationship. So who will be the parent? Of which you are accessing the property. They will be the parent definitely, or you can say in another word that will be the superclass. In programming view, you can say that will be the superclass, and the class who are accessing that properties, that will be known as the subclass. Okay, mainly in Java program, we are using this inheritance for code reusability and runtime polymorphism. Okay, this particular part we are already learned about the static polymorphism, that is known as the method overloading. Next we will study about the runtime polymorphism, that is nothing but the method overriding. Just like that part, that you have also, your parents also have a Rolex watch, and you are just buying your new version, new Rolex watch. So whenever I am just talking about the Rolex watch from your family, which Rolex watch will be mentioned? This particular concept, these particular features will be resolved by the concept of runtime polymorphism that we will discuss. Okay, so inheritance is the property through which you can acquire or you can access the properties or behavior of your parent class, or you can say you're the super class, and you can use this inheritance for code reusability and to showing the features of runtime polymorphism also. Okay, and these are the basic terminology that will be used in United. All know that what is the concept of class. I am not repeating it. And the next two part is known as the subclass or child class and superclass or parent class. Superclass or parent class means the class from where you are inheriting the properties. Okay, and subclass or child class means it is the class which inherit the properties. That means you are accessing or you are reusing the code of another class that is defined in that class. So whenever you are just accessing or you are just reusing the code or features of another class, then it will be the properties of reusability. The main features or main strength or main point for inheritance in Java is known as the reusability of the code. Just think about the part that I have mentioned in your first at the beginning class, that is why Java is so used. Because most of the thing is already written in Java. You need to access it. You need to use it in your own way. So that is the terms that the reusability. Okay. For that purpose, Java is extensively used. Okay, and we can achieve this property with the help of inheritance. Clear? This is the basic concept. And next day we will study about the example of inheritance, example of method overriding, as well as there are several types of inheritance. That is the single level, hierarchical, multiple. Okay, so these type of features will be discussed in your next class. So next day, if I ask you the basic concept of inheritance, I think all of you can answer it. Okay, Nitinesh?
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, ma'am.
Till then, I am just ending this class. Just a minute. Check your attendance. Okay. So I'm ending this class today. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.